Hello everyone, I am here without Rifkin, and I'm casting the NA qualifiers. It's the last qualifiers for the TING Open. So after this, everything will be decided, invites will be sent out, and groups will all be set for, gosh, maybe like the rest of this week, probably? Just check my channel. Yeah, the group, actually, Korean group starts tomorrow, so that's close, but we fit it in. I accidentally changed my mic volume, so we're gonna have to make sure that it actually does well against the StarCraft 2 sounds when we get into a game. Our first game today will be Cham versus SteAdfaSt, because I know SteAdfaSt, and we've seen Cham before, and it seemed like a good first match, so deal with it. Yeah. So Rifkin is not here today, not because he's getting his wisdom teeth pulled out, which I know a lot of people are saying. He's actually supposed to have his appointment to get them checked out, the scan, first, but unfortunately his allergies are so bad that they actually couldn't do the appointment and he can't cast. So that's pretty bad allergies. So I didn't mind. I mean, NA casts are usually pretty short, like 3.5, 4 hours. That was a cat, just making sure. It just, it's fine. He covered last weekend for the most part for me while I was at a wedding, so it seems I returned the favor. In the future, however, we still are planning to kind of, plan around him getting his wisdom teeth out, so, like, probably at the end of the month, starting next month, something around there. He'll be gone for more than just a day, ideally, because honestly, he really does need to get his wisdom teeth out. And that's going to be maybe a lot of solo casting for me. Maybe I'll find some other people with a little bit more advanced notice. Like, whatever. I'm just waiting on the vetoes. But quick shout out to, of course, the splash screen that you saw for the past, 8 minutes. TING is, of course, the sponsor for the TING Open. And they are amazing people. Of course, you always see Jesse in chat. And we had a great first season. So great, in fact, that they weren't just they weren't maybe we'll do a season 2. It very quickly became oh, absolutely season 2. Because you guys actually enjoyed TING enough and you were interested enough in their services that a lot of people joined up. And we hope to have the same thing happen in this season. Of course, we'll be pushing that a little bit harder as we get into the groups after the qualifiers. Because we still got a month left of this. It's so great about having such a long tournament. A lot of content to do, and we're hoping that TING can actually, do this with us, and maybe even a season 3, so a whole year of TING would be awesome. I guess, actually, Jesse's already in chat, so hi! Hello! It smells weird in my room. I'm gonna blame the window being open. Maybe because, I don't know. It smells like... It's not just bad, it smells chemically. So if I pass out, it's because the window's open and apparently I'm dying of chemicals. Okay, they were nice enough to send me the list, even though I didn't ask, because honestly, if they make the lobbies, I'll be fine with that. It's one less thing I have to worry about. But in this case, I can, make this BaseTradeTV graph, so that's cool. Yeah, it's cool. Is it still possible to sign up? Unfortunately, no. The sign up has to be before the hour and the check-in as well. So you missed both. It's a pretty nice bracket. I mean, unfortunately, our last NA qualifiers were really screwed up because somewhere along the pipeline of where do we put all the times? Team Liquid, our site, our Google Doc, everywhere. The challenge, which is what I guess a lot of players look at first and foremost, said, 3 hours later, and it was actually 3 hours before. So we had a lot of people that, you would expect to join up, like Jon Snow, for instance, who is actually here today, miss out. They didn't know the time, and honestly, they may not even be able to, start at that time either. So, it happens. But they're here now, hopefully, and I do have a good feeling about Jon Snow getting through, as well as Kelazur. I think they are on opposite sides of the brackets. Yes, they are. So I'm actually going to just go ahead and call that being the 2 to get in. Not that bold of a claim, but some of you might be saying Panda Bear Me looks really good, or Suppy's back on the rise, or Bales is looking really cool. Although we faced Silky really, really early on. And I don't know how that will go. I think... Actually, I think Bales will take it. But anyway, regardless, we are getting into the game. I don't know why I said that. Habit. I said ready after he asked ready. Alright, and they are ready to go. So again, guys, let me know what the sounds are like, my voice compared to the in-game sound, because I did accidentally change my mic volume. It's really easy on OBS. All you do is when you try to mute the mic, you click a little over to the left, and suddenly, boom, you've changed your mic volume, and there's no undo button in OBS. If you guys do have requests for people you want to see, I'm actually pretty up for them, to be honest. Like, there's actually a good, number of players here, and I would be fine with a lot of these different bracket sides, so probably just follow into whatever either you guys overwhelmingly want, or what is obviously available. And here we are. It is best of threes all the way around, and the top two get out, so it actually will be end of the semifinals, basically, is when the cast will end. We're in a ZvZ. In the bottom right, as the red Zerg, he is SteAdfaSt. In the top left, as the blue Zerg, he's Cham. So, I kind of forgot that in order to zoom in, you usually use your or I use my pointer finger actually, because I use insert, delete, and end. My pointer finger is actually completely useless on my left side. Yeah, and they're both going for macro builds. Oh, interesting that Cham scouted. That's weird. Anyway, yeah, I was poking a hole through a bag, which is a very bad idea, with a knife, and my finger was not far away enough, so it got sliced and diced. It's actually pretty gnarly, but not deep enough, honestly, to go, like, get stitches. It's on like the very tip of it, I don't think they do stitches for that. They just say get over it. So, I haven't been able to play Overwatch, or StarCraft 2, or any games that require using your pointer finger. It's bad, man. One finger would cause so much disruption in your life. It sucks. Oh, anyway, so ZvZ, start things off. I know that seems very odd, considering that me and Rifkin are usually just, let's wait until the very last possible second to cast a ZvZ. But, I figured, I know, SteAdfaSt, we've met a couple of times in Toronto. When we, of course, we lived there for a month, and then throughout all the IEM and the WCSs that happened there, and he's a really cool guy. He's working pretty hard to both, be better at the game, but also, I know he's casting some, so he's really nice. Cham, I know a little less about it. Of course, personally, I don't really know a lot about him, but just as a player, I know he's pretty decent. I actually don't know what this will go, like 1-1, 2-1, in whose favor, I have no idea, but it's one of the starting matches, so you kind of just grab whatever looks appealing enough. Second round stuff, this goes into facing Panda Bear Me. I don't know if I'll follow that, maybe I will. I know Panda Bear Me is probably on a lot of radars of people that actually watch the NA scene. If Fear Dragon's watching at work, get back to work, but also I'm sure he's cheering for him. Of course, I mentioned earlier Kelazur. Probably going to be watching him later on, as I'm pretty sure he's going to get through his bracket pretty easily, I want to say. Depends, I guess, how he feels today. And Jon Snow, of course, on the other side. Special out to Slayer's Boner, who is always signing up for our qualifiers and whatnot, and it's just a blast to see him, because he is random. Also met him in real life. You guys might know him more as Caliber, but he has a funny name as Slayer's Boner, so that's what we'll call him. And we might catch him later on as well, because random's always fun to watch. As I highlighted on the screen, Baneliness did come down for SteAdfaSt initially, and then realized, oh, I guess I don't really need it, so we went ahead and canceled it. It is going into this kind of macro game. I was going to say SteAdfaSt macro game, and I realized that would be a pun. Nope. And they're both going for roaches. So we got the roach upgrades. It's Frozen Temple, honestly. Like, this is going to be one of the basic maps, especially if they get rid of Dusk Towers. Still checking to see if you guys have any comments on the audio. That looks like sound is excellent. Okay, cool. But yeah, it's going to be one of the default maps, when Dusk Towers, hopefully for me, it actually gets sent to the next map pool. I know they were asking Frozen Temple or Dusk Towers to stay in. I really hope Frozen Temple over Dusk Towers, just because Towers is so old. Good scout here from the Ling. It's going to be really the default map, and so, I'm not even that, much of a fan of ZvZ, but I kind of know what the two options are. Either wall off here, as we can see, because you can wall off, and there's only a few maps you can do this on, or going straight up to like a layer of mutas and trying to catch said roach wall off player off. Seen some also like, you know, trickery. I think TLO showed us a couple of weeks ago, like he walled off with a roach swarm but then actually went for a spire. Didn't work, but that's the kind of tricks you're gonna do on maps that they're really figured out in a specific matchup. We see a big difference. SteAdfaSt went for a third base and droned up just a little bit more, so 6 drones up, but of course his army supply is really starting to take a hit. Obviously Cham trying to hold off, like, on showing what he's doing. And SteAdfaSt, I mean, despite getting that Ling in there, you saw, like, what you'd expect to see, a lair, and then, of course, the roach warren moving and wiggling and jiggling, but he didn't see the amount of roaches. And I was wondering about this Overlord trail, because it just seemed like one too many Overlords, you know? In the middle of the map, you really only need 2, but this makes a lot of sense, and this is actually a really cool use of what is just a very normal build, you know, that fast lair, and then maybe you think of a third base, but this is actually a very dedicated attack that needs to do damage, because he's behind quite a bit in that economy. It looks like SteAdfaSt was really not prepared for this. I mean, he had an Overlord right here, but that's only so much time to start, you know, prepping your own roaches, especially if you just made a run of drones, or you just simply don't have the larva. Now, with SteAdfaSt, okay, never mind, he's gonna give up. I was gonna say, with SteAdfaSt's economy, he had, like, you know, like maybe a minute where he lost his third base, and maybe a couple of drones, and if he could get a decent army, maybe something would have happened, but he figured that reinforcements would probably be coming in, you know, from too many different sources, and they just get caught off guard, and that's kind of what happens in ZvZ. He thought there was going to be a, you know, a pretty standard macro game, and instead he was hit probably, like, he probably was expecting to get attacked. I mean, he was the one with third base after all, but I don't think he expected to be hit so hard. Once again, as people are joining in, I will say that, yeah, Rifkin's not here because his allergies are literally so bad he couldn't even, like, go to his dentist appointment, or he went there and they were like, yeah, we can't take the scan because, you know, you totally messed up, so. Understandable. He doesn't want to cast. He'd be sneezing all over the place. Plus, honestly, with the way that our technical problems have been going, it's been a little frustrating using Skype. So this is at least one blessing of having to solo cast, is that there's no chance of me not hearing him or him not hearing me, because Skype all of a sudden decides it doesn't want to work. Not even Skype specifically, before anyone starts jumping on the stop using Skype bandwagon. We tried Zoom, the same thing happened, so. Next map is going to be King Sejong, and then the third map to come is going to be Ruins. Now, Cham looked really strong there, but it was also something that was as simple as, like, not getting scouting, being complacent, which we've seen, I mean, you know, super high up in the skill. I mean, Koreans, the same thing can happen once in a best of 3, so not a, like, super good reveal of SteAdfaSt's skill here, but maybe he will get to it. Cham's looking pretty strong. Let me see, it's Grandmaster versus not Grandmaster, but it's... Don't trust that. Base trade single person now? Yes. I am totally willing to cast everything on our plate for the rest of the month solo. Get the heck out of here. Why would I ever do that? If Rifkin was like, you know what, I made $1 million and I don't need BaseTradeTV anymore, go ahead and solo cast. I mean, I would take the job of, like, running BaseTradeTV, although I honestly don't think he would ever give it up. But I would not solo cast every single day. I'd be like, okay, bad news everyone, we're gonna cut the qualifiers in half, and we're gonna do half as much work here. Yeah, I do that. Anyway, he's coming back hopefully tomorrow, as long as his allergies still aren't wrecking him, for the first Korean group in the morning. So this man up here, he is up 1, and he is the blue Zerg Cham. Ah, I used my pointed finger, I'm so stupid. Oh god. In the bottom right, as the red Zerg, it is SteAdfaSt. Oh god. It's painful, yo. Very painful. Alright, so like I said, it was a big surprise from SteAdfaSt, so hopefully he's just going to be a little bit more on guard for this game. We once again have a drone scout from Cham, and that's just so interesting. Now, I mean, it is the very safe way to play. The thing is that it's usually just, it's been decreed, let's say, from, like, the higher Zerg, you know, popes, or I don't know, whatever it is, that, like, you don't drone scout, okay? The only time you might drone scout is in, like, a best of 5 or something like that, where you've been facing someone who is known for early pooling. And then maybe it's worth once to you know, be like, aha, I caught you early pooling, like, take that with my drone scout. But usually, whenever early pool there is, like, I mean, either you can hold it with some pretty supreme micro, or you just don't be super duper greedy with your own build, you know, like get the pool before the gas or something like that, and you can be okay. I mean, at this point, we've cast so many ZvZs. I mean, not lately, mind you, because, you know, we've been trying to avoid them and whatnot, but you all know how many ZvZs we've been casting and how sick we are of them. We have seen so many variations of early pool, and then so many variations of the defense, and there's really not, like, a hard counter. Like, there's hard counters in that, like, okay, this is gonna be super duper hard to hold. But, like, hatch gas before a pool, we've seen it hold. 3 hatch before a pool, we've seen it almost hold, which sounds really dumb, but it happened on Dusk Towers, so... I don't know about that drone scout, I don't know. But that's a personal preference, I suppose, and unfortunately it's not really helping him here, just lost a bit of economy. We do have a Baneling Nest on the way for SteAdfaSt once again. I believe he made this and then canceled it when he figured he didn't need it. But it looks like with taking this fast third, I think that's definitely preferable to go ahead and keep that just in case. And Cham is going, I think that was just in the middle of the map. Something over here. Oh, actually, no, it was the Ling over here. There we go. Yeah, Ling's getting into each other's bases. Cham should be able to see this third base if he goes over to bothers and checks. Yeah, he's gonna bother to check. It is a pretty early third. I mean, there's actually a slight chance he wouldn't scout it. But he's going for a +1 melee here. For whatever reason, it's just been the more popular upgrade in Legacy of the Void, not Carapace like we saw in Heart of the Swarm, but it's, well, it doesn't do the same thing. Carapace gives you that extra Baneling hit with Lings. It does just make an attack stronger. And if you compare it up really well and they don't expect it, suddenly your Lings are just, like, so much better than their Lings. But Banelings will still one-shot you. So there's the real conundrum right here, where if SteAdfaSt sees this, and he's got an Overlord in the right position, he should be watching the mini-map, makes 1 or 2 Banelings, doesn't matter if you have +1 or not, he's actually not going to have +1 for this attack. They're still going to, you know, have to be very, very careful with how they micro. Now, SteAdfaSt does get a couple of Banelings, but he's also getting a Roach Warren. Actually, believe it or not, transferring over to the Roach Warren might be a big mistake from SteAdfaSt, just because, you know, the amount of roaches you can get, both with minerals and larvae that are available to you, might not actually outweigh dozens of +1 melee Lings. So, I don't know. But the Banelings, they weren't in a very good position, so the Lings get in here. Drones are forced to fight. Banelings are being super duper lazy. A Ling counterattack, I guess, was trying to do something here. That's just an Overlord, actually. I thought maybe they were attacking the third base. He made a couple of Banelings on the offensive, and I think that's where things went really wrong for SteAdfaSt. He's losing way too many drones because he responded way too late, or just poorly, actually. Like, doing the counterattack was probably not the better move, and now he's definitely going to lose Ling fights with +1 being done. And if he tries to make roaches, then his roaches are going to be surrounded. I think more Lings and more Banelings has got to be the way to go, but he's already down 10 workers. That's a huge amount. He's, of course, also down this upgrade. The only thing he would have going for him is if he could get a good number of roaches. Like, if he could get up to, like, 12, maybe, he could try and counterattack, but a counterattack will always be difficult with Lings running around and, like, literally around you and getting into your third or your natural or what have you. And once again, going into the natural, increasing that drone lead for Cham, and SteAdfaSt is just getting absolutely wrecked. I mean, now he has a decent army to fight with. But, of course, Ling fights, unless he's overwhelming numbers, are going to go well for him. In this case, it is overwhelming numbers. And he will need those Banelings to really push back, and push back hard. He lost 9 more workers with that second attack. 30 to 11, this is definitely an all-in. And Cham is just looking very good in ZvZ. He's bringing the Queens to help out just on the off chance that SteAdfaSt suddenly did take a good fight. And he's taking, like, a decent one, but mind you, with greater numbers, but against, you know, greater upgraded Lings here. So 1 Baneling is not going to cut it, hopefully for Cham, just run everything into it. And of course those Queens still doing a decent job. Chantuses are going down. GG. And that's that. Cham does take it 2-0. Now advance on to face Panda Bear Me. Which again, I'm not so sure that I'll be following. Looks like Mr. Bubble Dick. Remember Mr. Bubble Dick? Going ahead and 2-0'd Towley. Name that does look familiar. We never actually get the opportunity to cast. And he'll be facing Suppy. I mean, as amazing as it would be for me to constantly have to say Mr. Bubble Dick, I might hold off on that. for 1 or 2 minutes and see if anything else is going to be happening, as seems like the bracket is moving along swiftly. It wasn't a very long best of 3, but since it is a solo cast, I'm going to take whatever opportunity possible to catch my breath and, you know, not use my voice, basically. So I'm going to go to a break right now. Stay tuned for the rest of the NA qualifier, last qualifier for the TING Season 2. And I gotta decide which break train to go to. That one.